Hello my friends, today it's all about the Eternals, like phoenixes and krakens and witches and skeletons and kings, because today we're going to be talking about a cooperative limited communication game called Eternal Decks. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. Before I get to the moment you've been waiting for, I wanted to tell you about the Sell Trade program at Noble Knight Games. Now as gamers, we all have games that are cluttering our shelves that we either don't have the right group for or might even not like it. Well, now you can turn those unappreciated games into cash or store credit. Noble Knight Games buys thousands of games and gaming products. It's easy to send them a list of the games that you'd like to sell or trade. Now they'll send you a quote and even pay for the shipping of the games. Get treated and paid like royalty while you sit back and collect cash or store credit. To get started, click the link in the description of this video or in that upper right corner there, and then click the Sell Trade button. In Eternal Decks, each player starts with a deck of 5 cards of a single color. They're shuffled up, you have a hand size of 3. If you have no cards in your hand at the beginning of your turn, essentially you all lose the game. So how do you get more cards? One way is being able to play cards in the right way cooperatively to unlock different Eternals. Each of these Eternals have an 8-card deck with a special ability card. And as you can see, these decks range greatly between colors of cards, between the numbers of the cards, but each of these also have a curse that you can see in the lower right, which as you unlock this and that player gets all of these 8 cards to add to their deck, there's going to be a hindrance unless you can help break that curse on future turns. This game comes with a nice sort of polyester style mat that folds really well, and as you can see doesn't crease or have any folds in it, so it looks really nice and it feels nice and it houses everything for the game. The main thing you're doing in the game is going to be playing cards into this field. And each player is only going to be playing at the most 1 card on their hand by default, and so they might play something like this. The red player might play a red 2. Now let's say the next play, the blue player plays a blue 3. Now you can never play the same number or color next to each other by default in any row. In addition, each row has a restriction, like this is going up a mountain. Everything has to ascend, not every number exactly, but it has to go up generally, and each of these changed throughout the different games. And there's some other ones, like going the opposite way, going down a cave from top to bottom. Or there's a forest where you can't have consecutive numbers. And some of these fields, depending on the level, will have multiples of these that will reveal themselves later in the game. Now let's say the red player just finished this row with the 5. They get to take this Eternal deck, the Phoenix deck, and add it to their hand, and it shows you the cards that's in there, like the green 3s or the 8s and 9s. There's also a special ability card for each one. Now if you can't do anything on your turn, the game ends for everyone, and so you might not have a lot of cards left, and that new deck goes underneath your other deck. So you're going to be drawing these cards because you'll have 3 cards in your hand at the beginning of every turn until you start running out of cards. Now that Eternal is going to be added to the top there, and it has a curse. Like in this case, you cannot play a 1 anywhere in the normal fields. However, just below them you'll see some jewels, and you can activate these jewels by having sort of like 3 of the same color, or 3 different colors, or the same card numbers, or things like that. So let's say that when it comes back to this Phoenix player's turn, they use 2 of those new cards to place into the river, any 2 cards. That allows them to take that jewel and cover that, so now it's no longer a burden. And at the bottom, once this river gets filled up, these get discarded, and they get a special rare card, which essentially is a wild color, wild number. However, it also acts as a timer in the game, because after the 3rd time, if you do this a 4th time, everyone loses the game. So it's kind of a clock as well. So on your turn, you're either playing cards to the field, playing cards to the river to get the jewels, or you're handing another player a card by using a heart. But look, there's only 3 of them by default. And if you can't do any of those 3 things, everyone loses. So a lot of it is trying to get people to get these Eternals unlocked before they run out of cards. Now there's also bonuses. Once you clear out an entire row of Eternals, you'll get a bonus. Like this one will allow you to reset all your hearts, allowing you to pass cards again. This one will give you a star. That's the goal of this specific scenario of the stage, is to get 4 stars to win. And the other way to get stars is to essentially put jewels on all of the Eternals there. And then also you can play ability cards from the A Eternals, the top rows here, to get this star. So there's different ways to get it, and this is just one stage. Now there's limited communication in the game. You can't say what number cards you have, what color cards you have, but you have these communication discs where this is telling you, hey, I want to play here. Or maybe I really want to play here. Or I want to play in both of these two spots and things like that. So there is ways to communicate, but there's also things that you can't say. There's 6 total stages in the game, and each stage has multiple difficulties. So there's different ways to play. Each of these add different ways to play, different goals, different cards will come in, different rules, different specifics for that. And there's all different ways to play. There's also a solo mode, 2 solo modes, one standard and one story mode where you actually craft your golem over the games. Before I get to the moment you've been waiting for, I wanted to let you know that Game Toppers is giving 15% off premium game mats and accessories specifically to my US and Canada audience using code GameBoyGeek15 off for a limited time only. Hear more about this at the end of my final thoughts. Okay, now first of all, the game looks great. I mean, the mat is amazing and it's like black and white, but then there's the colors that really are vibrant and pop off the cards. Really great job, it looks awesome. This game, it's kind of like a cooperative, heavier Red 7 feeling. Now Red 7 is like a small little card game where it's competitive and you're trying to be the last one standing and you're like trying to be able to make a move, and as soon as you can't, you're out. Like in this game, it's almost, mechanically wise, it's nothing like Red 7, but that feeling of like, oh gosh, I gotta play just one more card and I can stay another round and let's see what can happen, right? And this has that feeling, constant tenseness, because as soon as somebody has no cards, if you haven't passed them on or you can't, and they can't do any of the 3 things, the game's over. And so you're not just trying to keep your head above water, you're trying to keep everyone's head above water. And in this game, like, you're not just playing cards for yourself, you really have to, every card you play has to help you and has to help somebody else, because if not, you're going to lose. And the tenseness in this game is huge, and I love it. Unlocking the Eternals is so awesome, because it's not just which one are you going to unlock, which can also be a decision, but who is going to unlock it? So it's like, oh my gosh, we're close to unlocking this. I don't want you to unlock it because you have 4 cards in your deck. The player to your right has 0. We have to pass them the card that we need in order to get that. Oh, I can do that. Okay, so you pass it to them on your turn. I'll go somewhere else. That player will be able to be the one to unlock that Eternal and keep us alive again. And that's a lot of the conversations you have in there, and it's brilliant. And the curses, right? That comes with all these cards. You know which cards you're getting. Sometimes you'll have a choice as which one should we get first? Well, which curse is going to hurt us more? Where are we going to go after that? Is this going to affect people? Yes, this one's going to affect all 3 of us. This one is only going to affect 2 of 3 of us. Well, let's go with that one then. You know, there's so many great decisions in this game, and then deciding, okay, well, who's going to get this curse lifted? Well, I need it lifted before me because like this one doesn't allow me to play these 2 colors, and I need to play this color. I need someone to lift this curse before that. Can you get a jewel? No. Can you pass them a card on your turn and they can get a jewel? You know, it's like all these things. It's great because it really is truly a cooperative game, and the limited communication works because you have the communication of those discs of showing where you can, but you can also talk about strategies. But you can't just say like what cards are in your hand. Can't say I have a 3. I can't say I have a red card. You can, but you can say, hey, you can say things that are on the board. It's good there. I like that you can send hearts to give a card. That's huge. You have 3 of them by default. If you unlock that entire row, that's another thing. Once you unlock all those Eternals for a row, you get a bonus. Another cool thing. It's like, oh, we've used our last one. Well, yes, but we only need to unlock 1 more Eternal. Let's get that so we get the hearts back, and we can start giving cards out again. Like all these things, it's little micro mechanisms that all just work so well together, and they all make sense, and they all just fit together so well in this game. Or playing to the river to get the jewels, right? And so like that's another thing is you're playing cards to that river and you're getting to the end and you're like, oh, well, if someone can get this next jewel, that will end the river. That will discard those cards. They'll get a rare card, which is a wild that goes right to their hand. But then it also acts as a clock where it's like, oh, you go there, you've done that 4 times, the game's over, right? And it's like, again, everything here is just really cool. Using the communication discs is great. Put 1 if you want to go there, put 2 if you really want to go there. You can put them in multiple places. Everything in this game is it's so smooth. It's just a masterpiece in design. Nothing feels fiddly. Everything just makes sense. There's a decent amount going on here for a card game. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Another big thing here. If this game just had the first stage, and that was it, this box would still be worth the money it is to play because it's replayable. You don't play with every Eternal every time. One of each of the rows gets left out, right? So that's going to be different. who unlocks what, the way that your cards come up in your hand, the order that you're unlocking these Eternals, the way that the order that those things are happening, the orders that the curses are happening, it changes every game. So every scenario or stage is very replayable. And so even if this just had one stage, I think people would still be talking very highly about this game, and it would be flying up the charts. There's 6 stages. Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. There is a ton of content here, and each stage you could play at like 4 different difficulties, right? Scalability. They thought about that too. You know, the 2-player game, you get your deck, and then you get 2 cards from a different deck, right? Like 3-player game. Well, there's a jewel board that comes out for the 3-player game. Like all these different things, they have just thought about everything in this game. The solo game. I don't typically play solo games. I did, and it works well. It's a different game, obviously, because you're not talking with other people, but it is a puzzle. And there's 2 different ways. You can play a solo mode normal, or you can play it sort of in that story mode where you're upgrading your golems between each one, giving them different abilities and such. Like, if you're a solo player, this is going to work well, too. There's nothing quite like this game. You know, I went and did a search of limited communication games that had a weight of like 2.5 or higher. There's really nothing that plays like this. 2 games that came out earlier this year that are limited communication cooperative games I loved was Beasts from Panasaurus and Take Time. Both of those are like these little, so Take Time is like these little micro burst games, kind of like The Crew. It's not trick taking, but like you play these little levels, there's like 40 of them, and they take like 5 minutes to play, right? And then you play the next level, and then you play the next level, and that's that. Beast is more like a 20-minute game, but it's a lot simpler than this. Has some similarities. It's like, hey, let's do this, let's work together. But like, you're working together in a way that's different from this. And then this is just like, it takes those games and says, okay, what if we put those on steroids? Made it a much bigger, meatier game, but still kept it streamlined. And I think that's why this thing has legs, and I think that's why this is going to keep legs, is because there is nothing that has this weight that is not heavy, but it's heavier than most of these limited communication co-op games, which are typically these small little filler games. This is a bigger game than that. Lots of replayability, great limited communication, great card play, and even though it's meatier and there's a lot to think about, it's so streamlined that it feels almost as light as the other ones, but it's not. And for that reason, it's amazing. Anything negative I could say about the game? The only negative thing I could say is the setup and teardown time. It takes a while to set the game up. Well, not quite as long as it doesn't take it down, because all the cards are everywhere. They're in discard piles. And you turn the cards over and you clearly can see which thing they are, but you got to separate out, you've got 12 different Eternal decks, you got the player cards. It takes some time to tear it down and put it away. It's the only negative I can say about the game. There's really not a lot negative here. The game is fantastic. For all of these reasons, it warrants the hype and the acclaim that it's getting, because it is that good. And for all these reasons, it's staying in my gaming library. It's getting a saxophone serenade, so here we go. Game Toppers upgrades every game you play, being the one table to rule them all with Game Toppers, leg kits, dining covers, premium game mats, and more. And for a limited time only, my US and Canadian audience can get 15% off their premium game mats and accessories using the promo code GameBoyGeek15off. Also, go to GameToppersLLC.com to check out all the options, or for worldwide late pledges of their recent 5.0 Kickstarter.